I'm Dan and welcome to Polar Currency and video number 5. In early 2021, I came across a collection thought that would take me outside of US currency, a first time for me. After some research, I realized that this concept was achievable, affordable, and had a lot of stories to tell. The idea was to put together an international banknote collection that represented the equivalent exchange rate to the US dollar, or the lowest paper currency denomination that each country issues for the year 2021. Numerous countries don't issue a comparable one monetary unit banknote such as the $1 bill, but instead use coins of smaller denominations.
And with that, this is a new subseries called World Banknotes. I've divided the globe into 12 regions, and I'll show each banknote offering a brief background and description on what is on the front and the back of each banknote. I'll also identify the material that the banknote is made from. I'll work north to south and then east to west, depending on the geography.
As of 2021, there were 195 countries using 165 different currencies. Some countries don't issue their own money and adopt another country's currency. There are also countries that have formed a monetary union that uses one currency, such as the euro, so not every country is going to be represented in this collection. This video is the first of the sub-series World Banknotes that will be mixed in with other currency topics.
I will apologize in advance for my pronunciations. It's going to get bad. Trust me on this, really bad. I'll do my best. I'll bring up the spelling on the video for all pronunciations. It's also worth noting that information as to what is depicted on the currency isn't always equal. Some countries provide exact details and some provide very little information as to what they place on a banknote. With that, we begin the World Banknote subseries video number 1 with the main continent of North America working north to south. We start out on basically the top of the world with Greenland, which isn't a country but has a nice currency story. Greenland is an autonomous territory of Denmark, which granted Greenland home rule in 1979. There were a series of proposals for a planned new currency for Greenland that was abandoned in 2009 by the Parliament. Currently, the Danish krone remains the legal currency for Greenland. This banknote concept is basically a novelty note that was submitted for the abandoned Greenland krone planned currency. The front of the 50 kroner has the portrait of Danish polar explorer anthropologist Knut Rasmussen, Norwegian explorer, scientist, diplomat, and Nobel Peace Prize recipient Fridtjof Nansen, and a dog sled team in the lower right. The reverse has the illustration of an Inuit woman along with Greenland's wildlife, including the iconic polar bear, which I might be a little fond of. This novelty note even has security features. Raised reflective ink is used on the snowflakes, and a polar bear can be seen with UV light. Heading south is Canada, which no longer issues paper currency smaller than a $5 bill. In 2011, Canada began converting from paper currency to polymer because of the ability to incorporate security features not available in paper banknotes.
Quick sidebar. Many countries are converting to polymer, but what is it? Well, I'm not Bill Nye the science guy, but I'll give it a shot. Polymer is a form of plastic called polymer substrate. In 1988, Australia was the first to issue circulating polymer banknotes. Polymer allows for enhanced security features such as see-through windows, holograms that make the currency harder to counterfeit. They are stronger, lasting 2 to 3 times longer than paper, linen, cotton-based banknotes. They're waterproof and they stay cleaner as the surface is much smoother, making it more resistant to soiling. And we've got a note here that when currency is referred to as paper, it's most likely not paper at all, or any wood pulp materials at all.
For example, U.S. currency contains 0 paper or wood pulp materials at all. It is a blend of 25% linen and 75% cotton. Okay, back to Canada. As on all modern Canadian currency, all text appears in English and French. This is the current Canadian $5 polymer banknote first issued in 2013. The front of the $5 note bears the portrait of Sir Wilfrid Laurier, Prime Minister from 1896 to 1911. At the right is the see-through security window with a hologram of a smaller portrait of Laurier at the top, and below is a depiction of the Mackenzie Tower atop the West Block of Parliament in Ottawa, built in 1866. The reverse represents Canada's contribution to the International Space Station program, specifically related to its expertise in robotics. The serial numbers are also placed on the reverse. Because Canada is close to home, and really close to my home in the great white north of Minnesota, they no longer issue a $1 banknote. But it's such a beautiful note, I had to show the last $1 banknote issued by the Bank of Canada Series 1973. In 1987, the $1 note was discontinued and removed from circulation in 1989, leaving the loonie coin as the only $1 denomination in circulation. The front is a multicolored print depicting the 1962 portrait of England's Queen Elizabeth II on the right, and on the left displays the Canadian coat of arms. Again, the text appears in French and English, and according to Stu Plubeck, so are the serial numbers. The back features Parliament Hill from the Ottawa River and a tugboat in the middle of a broken log boom. Which I don't know what a log boom is, or why is it broken. But it's still a beautiful note. Coming home to the all-too-familiar 2017 $1 bill, which was first issued as a Federal Reserve note in 1963, replacing the 1957 $1 silver certificate that had been issued since 1935. The Federal Reserve note design has basically gone unchanged since 1969, when the green Department of Treasury seal on the right was redesigned. Front and center bears Gilbert Stuart's famous unfinished portrait of George Washington, the USA's first president. The left side has the Federal Reserve Bank seal, which states which district the note was issued from, and the U.S. Department of Treasury seal on the right. The serial numbers also appear on the left and right. The reverse has a large amount of information displaying the Great Seal of the United States of America, which is actually two-sided. The left, which is the reverse of the seal, has an unfinished pyramid of 13 rows with Roman numerals of 1776. At top is the Eye of Providence radiating outward. I always thought that was a little creepy. Above the pyramid is the Latin inscription Inuit Coeptis, for Providence has favored our undertakings. And below the pyramid, the Latin states, Novus Ordo Seclorum, translated to a new order of the ages. The right side, the front of the seal, is actually the United States of America's coat of arms that features an eagle with an unsupported shield, meaning to rely on your own virtue, that has 13 bars and 13 stripes. The eagle's right talon holds an olive branch with 13 leaves and 13 olive fruits, and the left holds 13 arrows. The eagle's beak holds a scroll with the Latin inscription E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Above the eagle is a crest that includes a constellation of 13 stars representing the original 13 colonies. And FYI, I'm not going any farther or anywhere near Freemasons or any other conspiracy theory related to the reverse of the US $1 bill. The 20 peso is currently Mexico's lowest currency denomination made from polymer. The front of the 2021 Mexican 20 peso is a portion of the 1820 painting Solemn and Peaceful Entry of the Army of the Three Guarantees to Mexico City on September 27th of the memorable year of 1821. Now that's a long painting title. To the far left is the Army flag of the Three Guarantees flies, and to the right, before the security window, is the flag of Mexico. The 20 peso only has one set of serial numbers. Braille is printed on the top and bottom of the security window, and there is a raised print design with 20 in the middle of the security window. The reverse of the 20 peso is positioned vertically and displays the mangrove ecosystem with a Mexican crocodile, also known as Morla's crocodile, and a flying chocolate heron in the Siancán Biosphere Reserve in the state of Quintana Roo, a World Natural Heritage Site. For the same reasons showing Canada's last $1 note, except we're a lot farther south now, I thought it'd be appropriate to show Mexico's last 1 peso note series 1970. Another note with multiple colors and beautiful detailed engraving. The notes were printed by the American Banknote Company, which was initially formed in 1795 and printed a good portion of the United States currency from 1862 to 1877. The multicolor front has black borders featuring a large Aztec calendar or sunstone in the center. The reverse, printed in bold red ink, has the engraving of the Monumento a la Independencia, Monument of Independence, also known as the Angel of Independence, located in Mexico City. The monument was built in 1910 to commemorate the centennial of Mexico's War of Independence against Spain. The monument is also featured on the Mexican Silver Libertad that has been minted since 1982 and is one of the world's major silver bullion coins. Moving into Latin America, we come to Guatemala. Guatemala has the quetzal, which takes its name from the national bird, where in ancient Mayan culture the quetzal tail feathers were used as currency. On the front, the quetzal bird is depicted in the upper left front and has the image of General Miguel Garcia, president from 1871 to 1873. Garcia was a key revolutionary leader. There's also Braille printed on the left, overlaying the Guatemalan flag. The reverse of the 2019 10 quetzal has the engraving of the Guatemalan National Legislative Assembly in 1872 and a traditional Mayan carving to the right. Guatemala places UV threads into their paper as a security feature. To the east of Guatemala is Belize, a sovereign nation but also one of the 15 member nations of the United Kingdom's Commonwealth realm. Their currency is the dollar and has been independently issued since 1982. The 2017 $2 design has not changed since 1990. Being part of the Commonwealth, the front features the 1977 portrait of England's Queen Elizabeth II. The left center depicts trigger, queen, and angelfish, and the Belize coat of arms at the bottom overlaying silverfish. The vignette at the far left is part of a stela, an upright stone, from the site of Minli Punait, the Quechua translation for big hat. The stela depicts two Mayan figures in an offertory scene. The Mayan, Jad Had, is at the upper left corner. To the left is a watermark of the sleeping giant, which is a formation of rolling hills of the Maya Mountains. The main image on the reverse is a collage of 3 Maya sites. The left is Altunha, famous for its Jad Had of the sun god Kinichichahu. The center is the restored site of Zunan Tunich, an ancient Mayan archaeological site. And on the right is the site of Lubatan, a Mayan pre-Columbian ruined civilization. Belize places UV threads into their paper as a security feature along with a non-UV security thread.
Even though El Salvador no longer issues currency, it still tells a story. The colón was used as El Salvador's currency until their devastating civil war ended in 1992. El Salvador adopted the US dollar as its official currency in 2001, which many countries have done. The 1 colón was named after Christopher Columbus. The colón was last printed in 1982.
The 1982 series colón front displays the Cerrón Grande hydroelectric dam. The reservoir, known as Lake Suchitlan, is the largest body of fresh water in El Salvador. The portrait of Christopher Columbus is on the back, along with the El Salvador coat of arms. The Honduran Lempira is named after a chieftain from the 16th century of the Lencas of western Honduras, Indio Lempira. Jose Dionisio de Hera Valley is featured on the 2019-20 Lempira, front right. He was the head of state for Honduras from 1824 to 1827. The national coat of arms, Escudo Nacional, is the emblem to the left. Braille is printed below the upper left serial number, and there's a watermark on the center right of a vertical series of 20s. The reverse depicts the presidential house in center, which was the first official residence of the Honduran head of state and built in 1821 and moved to Tegucigalpa in the 1880s. The Lempira has a UV security thread that turns blue and also embeds UV threads into their paper. The Cordoba of Nicaragua is named after the Spanish conquistador Francisco Hernández de Cordoba, who is credited by many as the founder of Nicaragua. The Series 2019-20 Cordoba is a polymer banknote where the front depicts 2 turtles in the left security window, and in the center is the Iglesia Morova in Laguna de Perla, depicting the German Moravian missionaries' presence in Nicaragua, which dates back to 1847. To the upper right is a second security window. Braille is also printed over the lower left corner 20 denomination. The reverse features dancers celebrating the festival Palo de Mayo, Maypole Festival, and the Nicaraguan coat of arms in the lower left. Continuing south, we come to Costa Rica. The Costa Rican polymer colones banknote is named after Christopher Columbus. Translated in Spanish, Cristobal Colón. The front left of the 2019 1000 colones has a holographic map outline of Costa Rica. To the center is the portrait of Braulio Carrillo Colina, who was the head of state from 1835 to 1842. Moving right is the Costa Rican coat of arms and a large security window strip with Colina as the watermark. The back features a dry forest in the background with a guanacaste tree, a white-tailed deer, the Costa Rican pitahaya cactus flower, and the serial numbers.
The Panamanian 1 Balboa hasn't been issued for over 80 years, but has an interesting story, so I wanted to include it. The denomination is named after Vasco de Núñez Balboa, a Spanish explorer, governor, and conquistador famous for being the first European to cross the Isthmus of Panama from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific in 1513.
The banknote is known as the 7-day note. It was issued by the Central Bank of the Republic of Panama October 2, 1941. 1 week later, Ricardo Adolfo de la Guardia Arango took over as president in a coup d'etat supported by the United States. The new government immediately closed the bank, withdrew the issued notes, and burned all of the remaining issued currency. Very few of these banknotes escaped incineration and now sell for $2,000 and more depending on condition, so that's why you're seeing an image. The $1 Balboa is a striking banknote with its red and green colors, even with very few design elements. The front depicts the Spanish conquistador Vasco Núñez de Balboa, and the reverse features the Panamanian coat of arms. Well, since I only had an image of the $1 Balboa banknote, I did find a 1947 $1 Balboa silver coin, with again Balboa on the front, and the reverse depicts a Panamanian standing liberty holding a fasces in one arm, a bundle of wooden rods including an axe with its blade emerging. The fasces is a Roman symbol for power and authority. The fasces also appear on the reverse of the U.S. Mercury dime issued from 1916 to 1945. In the other arm, Liberty holds an oak sprig which is resting on the Panamanian shield. The purity and weight are to the right, and the date is below. The coin was first issued in 1931, and despite the 1941 coup d'etat, the design remained unchanged until 1947, which was the last year of this issue. I guess it's a lot harder to burn silver coins than it is paper currency.
That's it for the first world currency featuring the banknotes of mainland North America. The design, appearance, and the feel of world currency is quite different. The US $1 bill, that design is approaching the century mark, and maybe it's time to at least update to the current colorized design style? But that's not going to happen thanks to the vending machine lobby and the law that they had passed. Another story, another day. The fact is, world currency is beautiful. They're beautiful miniature works of art from all over the globe. They're worth our appreciation. Thank you for watching, and if you like what you see, give it a thumbs up and feel free to comment.